Gervonta "Tank" Davis is one of the most well-known boxers in the unpredictable sport. Tank has established himself as one of the sport's most captivating personalities thanks to his dramatic knockouts, intense rivalries, and the ongoing drama that envelopes his camp. Whether it's his antics in the ring or the mayhem that seems to follow him outside the ropes, his name is almost always spoken. However, his fists aren't the main focus this time. It's trained on his corner instead, where a dramatic shuffle has occurred just weeks after a shocking majority draw in Brooklyn on Saturday night against Lamont Roach Jr. After serving as Tank's trainer during the absence of his longtime instructor Calvin Ford, Barry Hunter has now formally ended his relationship with the Baltimore fighter. Tank views the break as a turning point in his life, and the circumstances surrounding it are just as significant as the choice itself. Tank's career had been anchored by Calvin Ford, who had guided him from an untrained novice to a feared knockout artist who ruled the lightweight class. There was no denying Ford's impact. He developed Tank's style, sharpened his intuition, and instilled the discipline that made him a champion. However, Ford left Tank's camp empty prior to the Roach bout. Enter Barry Hunter, a well-known figure who had been with the team for many years but had never taken the lead in a fight with this much at stake. Hunter saw it as an opportunity to establish himself as more than a supporting character. It was a test of Tank's ability to stay ahead of the game without the man who knew him the best. It was going to be just another fight versus Lamont Roach Jr. in the lead-up. Tank's crew seemed confident and dismissed Ford's absence as a minor inconvenience. They maintained that he was still a fierce, dangerous fighter who was prepared to put on another show-stopping display. The majority of observers and fans concurred. As a strong and talented fighter advancing from super featherweight, Roach wasn't considered a significant challenger to Tank's dominance. There was broad agreement that this was a prelude to future, more significant matches. The idea that Roach would be just another name added to the list was further supported by Tank's knockout streak, which saw him halt 28 opponents in 30 victories. However, it was clear from the first bell that this would not be your average Tank Davis bout. Roach flourished rather than merely survived. He kept up with Tank's speed, made accurate shots, and remained composed under duress. Tank, meanwhile, turned away. Fans were left perplexed by his hesitation, which had replaced the explosiveness that characterized his career. It became more and more clear as the rounds went by that this wasn't the overwhelming force that everyone had anticipated. As Tank struggled to establish his groove, Roach pushed forward, his confidence building. The pivotal event, which would lead to interminable discussion, occurred in the 9th round. Tank abruptly dropped on one knee, gripping his face and moaning of eye irritation. Referee Steve Willis intervened, allowing him to rest, but he chose not to declare it a knockdown, a choice that would later cause controversy. Tank hurried to his corner and requested that they wipe his face because he said that oil from his hair had burned in his eye. The fight was interrupted by the brief halt, and Roach took the initiative when it restarted. Tank was unable to deliver the knockout blow that had become his signature, but he persisted in pushing. There was a lot of ambiguity in the air by the last bell. The blowout that everyone had anticipated was not this one. The boxing world was shocked when the scorecards were read because Tank received a score of 115 to 113 from one judge, while the other two gave him a score of 114 to 114, meaning that there was a majority draw. The result was shocking for a fighter whose reputation had been built on finishing opponents. The outcome felt like a defeat in the eyes of the fans, but Tank kept his WBA lightweight title and his perfect record. Reactions from fans were all over social media. Some said the judges had defrauded Roach, while others said Tank had been duped. However, most people agreed that Tank should have easily won this battle, yet he barely made it. In the wake, Barry Hunter wasn't holding back. He made the frank and painful claim that Tank lost focus throughout the fight in an open post-fight interview. It gained popularity fast and was a rare criticism from inside the camp. Tank has previously defeated more formidable foes, including bigger punchers, slicker boxers, and more seasoned veterans. However, he struggled against a fighter who many regarded as being a level below his in the one bout in which he did not have Calvin Ford by his side. It was unclear if this was an isolated incident or a symptom of more serious problems. The consequences were immediate and relentless. Fans looked for explanations by analyzing every moment of the fight. Many blamed Hunter, while others cited the chaos in Tank's training camp and the idea that he misjudged Roach. Whether Hunter had sufficiently prepared Tank for the task was the main point of contention. The experiment is now officially over as Hunter is no longer involved. Beyond his early remarks regarding Tank's lack of focus, he hasn't said much more, but his exit says it all. The partnership didn't work, and he's done. Tank, on the other hand, is not wasting any time. According to sources, he has already contacted Calvin Ford in an attempt to reunite with his mentor, who is expected to return in May. Although Ford has not set out yet, their past indicates that a reunion is probably in the cards. Their bond goes beyond the usual fighter-trainer interaction. Ford has been Tank's pillar of support, the person who gets his eccentricities and encourages him to reach his full potential. With Ford by his side, Tank will be able to regain his air of invincibility. However, the harm from the Roach fight persists despite that probability. Tank is aware that the draw destroyed the idea that he is untouchable. Tank is now intent on a rematch with Roach after being disappointed by the result. He believes he lost the fight because of the controversy surrounding the non-knockdown ruling in the 9th round. He believes he should have left with a resounding triumph, and he is committed to proving it. He first dismissed the notion of a quick rematch, claiming it wouldn't be his next bout. However, he has changed his approach after some days of introspection and a flurry of criticism. The draw has shaken him so severely that he is now working hard to lock it in for May. The controversy still revolves around the 9th round event. Tank's claim that his vision was hampered by hair grease getting into his eye has turned into a lightning rod. He reiterated the allegation, stating that it occurred as a result of his hair being braided with a greasy substance 2 days prior. However, his stylist, Lee the Brand on Instagram, retaliated. She posted a picture of the product she used, pointing out that it was marked grease-free, and denied using any grease. She also mentioned the schedule. Tank had his hair done on Wednesday, and before his fight on Saturday, he had to go through his media commitments, training, and weigh in. Why didn't he notice it sooner if oil was the problem? The mistrust only grew after her answer, with some fans accusing Tank of using a cop-out as a reason. For his part, Roach also doesn't believe it. He has been outspoken against the regulations, contending that a fighter should always be considered knocked down if they willingly take a knee. He believed he would have won the bout hands down if Willis had made that decision. A 10-8 or even a 10-9 round in the 9th may have thrown the balance of power because the scorecards were so close. Roach isn't afraid to voice his belief that he was robbed. In addition to settling the score, he has sought a rematch because he believes he can defeat Tank once more. The discussion has gotten out of control. Opinions on boxing Twitter are rife. Some claim Roach outperformed Tank and should have won, while others contend Tank performed well enough to win despite the poor performance. In order to decide if the outcome should be reversed, the New York State Athletic Commission has even intervened and is examining the 9th round incident. Even though it is uncommon, Roach has alluded to the likelihood of a change, stating that word around the block points to a move to 30-1 in his favor. According to Combat Sports journalist Luke Thomas, X may be the first good decision made by an athletic commission in a long time. A rematch is the most likely answer, though, as history demonstrates that these reviews rarely change results. The WBA concurs. President Gilberto Mendoza told The Ring that a rematch is imminent and that it goes beyond popular opinion. He stated, "We need to send a strong message because we have a huge star in the sport." Wondering why a knee on the canvas wasn't ruled a knockdown, he questioned Willis's handling of the 9th round. The suspense for a rematch is only increased by the uncertainty. Tank wants to remove the stain, Roach wants to take advantage of his newfound fame, and the WBA is all for it. Tank is putting in extra effort behind the scenes to make it happen. He is encouraging his team to finish the details rather than merely complaining on social media. He is determined to show Roach is beneath him because the draw left a terrible taste in his mouth. Meanwhile, Roach smells blood. Tank's mystique was torn away in the first bout, and he is determined to complete the task. However, if the rematch doesn't work out, he's leaving his options open and might face WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson. The fact that Stevenson and Roach have previously talked about it adds even more curiosity. The stakes are quite high for Tank. The concerns continue to mount, and his reputation as a top finisher suffered. Did Tank fail without Ford, or was Roach better than anticipated? He will need to regain the focus Hunter claimed he lost, but the rematch is his opportunity to silence the skeptics. The parts might come together again if Ford decides to return. The road ahead isn't simple, though. Things could get complicated by scheduling, negotiations, and Roach's personal plans. Tank runs the risk of allowing the matter to worsen and escalating the criticism he is already receiving if it doesn't happen in May. Nobody misses the irony. Tank was driven to the limit by an underdog the one time he didn't have Ford. He is now at a crossroads because Hunter is no longer there and a rematch is imminent. Anything less may solidify the rifts in his legacy, while a decisive victory could restore his power. The buzz is overwhelming, and the boxing world is watching. It will be one of the biggest fights of the year when, not if, the rematch is announced. Tank and Roach will continue to stir things up until that time, and the argument will continue.